Yoga teacher, actor. How do those two go together? Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy Barkan. If this is the first time we're meeting, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. If you're enjoying this video anytime, hit the like button. It really boosts up the channel, and I appreciate that. So I've been teaching hot yoga for 40 years. The first half of my career, I taught Bikram yoga and I was Bikram's most senior teacher. The second half, the last 20 years of my career, I've been teaching my own version of hot yoga called the Barkan method. But here's something you may not know about me. I received my bachelor's degree at NYU School of the Arts, Tisch, for acting. Now, I did not use what I learned in college as a professional actor because I wanted to be, my original dream was to be a singer. So I started singing in New York and Los Angeles back in the 80s until I met Bikram, and that changed my whole life, and I became a yoga teacher. But my original dream was to be a singer, and I always came back to it. So in 2009, I started to sing again, and by 2014, I was singing professionally all across South Florida. Now, sometimes I would sing in front of 15, 20, 30 people in an audience. But other times, 400, 500, 1,000. Actually, I was saying at the Kravis Center, I had the honor of doing a duet with Gloria Loring, who's a famous actress and singer. Her son is Robin Thicke. And that was a highlight of my singing career. So I feel that I'm uniquely talented to put the two together. What it's like to be a yoga teacher and what it's like to be an actor or a performer, and they go hand in hand. So you may say, hold on, I don't want to be an actor. I don't want to be up there being somebody else. That's really more advanced acting. You have to think of actors in two ways. There's a personality actor and there's a character actor. Character actors are ones that play other people. I'm not talking about that. Some of the best actors in motion pictures like Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, they play other people. They're always different in each role. But then there's a personality actor, somebody like John Wayne, or Tom Cruise, Dwayne Johnson. They're always playing themselves. That's the personality actor. That's what I'm talking about. Because in order for you to play a character actor, you got to be able to play yourself first. And that's the hard part. It's not easy because people are self-conscious. People are insecure. And so it's hard for them to put themselves out on the line. In my teacher training programs, level 1 and level 2, and on our teacher training courses that we do, I do direct coaching with people to break through that self-consciousness and find your own authentic sound. So when people start teaching for the first time, every single person, probably 99.9% of the people that have gone through my teacher training programs, and I've certified over 2,000 people now across the world. By the way, if you're interested in doing a teacher training program with me, there are links in the description below. Apply now. 99.9% of the people that first start teaching, they end up doing what's called a teacher voice. Now in this video, I talked about the teacher voice and the conversation voice and how to break through that. Now, one of the big differences between the Barkan teacher training program and the Bikram teaching training program, in the Bikram world, they have you memorize a script. In this video, I talked a little bit more about it. In my teacher training programs, we have a set of bullet points for every single posture. All these points need to be addressed, especially the most important ones. But I have my teacher trainees calculate their own words and find their own voice so that they can now communicate these particular bullet points in their own language. When I first started teaching, that's how we were taught. Bikram's whole script, what he incorrectly calls a dialogue, because it's really a monologue, it's one person, not two people talking. They have you memorize a script, and people, what they'll do is they'll sort of hide behind those words. They won't show who they are because they got this memorized script that they can recite. Now, to a lot of Bikram teachers' credit, once they start to get more experience, the personalities begin to come through. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's just different. In the Barkan method, teacher training program is just a little more difficult at first because you have to now calculate your words. But how are you going to do that? Here's the first similarity between the actor and the yoga teacher. You got to rehearse out loud. It's not going to just come to you by the grace of God, when you're standing up there trying to teach a class, when you're trying to teach for the first time, you're not going to just, what are these words? What am I trying to say? You've got to rehearse out loud. Now, here's the second thing you need to do that's also similar between the actor and the yoga teacher, and that's preparation before you begin to teach. For example, in our Teach Train program, what I do is I create this mock classroom. So I'll have 2 or 3 people who are mock students, and the person comes up to teach, and he teaches those 3 people. So I'll say, okay, Judy, you're next. She gets up, she gets in front of the room, and she starts. And I said, no. Hold on for a second. Take a moment. What was my last feedback? What are you working on? How are we finding your authentic voice? What's important about this position? What are you going to emphasize? Now, here's a similarity between an actor. Let's say Al Pacino is going to do a scene in a movie where he has to emote, where he has to do one of his emotional scenes, where he has a sense memory. They call method acting a sense memory of something that's going to spark an emotion. He doesn't drive to the studio, get out of his car, walk onto the movie set, and the director says action, and then he goes. He goes into a corner. He's in his trailer and he's doing this process. Okay, this is going to spark this emotion. This is what I'm going to be thinking about here. This is where he does his research on the script, and therefore he knows what's going to prompt an emotion. So I say to my Teach Train people, take a moment in your car before you come into the classroom, or if you're they have an office at the studio, you've got time for your own quiet time to get your thoughts organized. And you want to rehearse out loud, not just once or twice, maybe 20, 30, 50 times, so that these words are automatic. You don't have to continue to think about how you're going to say those words. Now, as a yoga teacher, I can't relate because I'm teaching so long now, 40 years, the words are just automatic. But as an entertainer, as I'm singing in front of people, audiences over the last 7, 8 years, especially if I have a big audience or even a small one, but let's say 500 people are looking at me, just me, on that stage. And all of a sudden, I'm trying to introduce what the next song is going to be, or have a little banter in between the songs, which is part of my act. If I have to start thinking about what I'm saying, if I hesitate, if I am not sure, or if I look like I'm thrown off, I will lose that audience. Those 500 people will turn against me, and you don't know what that's like. Or maybe you do. When 500 people, all of a sudden, you've got another half an hour and you've lost them. And when I first started performing, sometimes that happened. And then I realized I have to be more prepared. So we've got to rehearse so that when you come into that yoga room, you come in with confidence. You've rehearsed the words. Now we can use that as a foundation to now bring out your personality. Now here's the third thing, and this is, I think, the most important thing. This is what will make you a great yoga teacher, not just a good yoga teacher. There's a lot going on. You've got all the bullet points to remember. You've got timing, and I tell my teachers in my Teach Train program, timing is more important than the bullet points you can remember. If you start going over your time, the students aren't going to trust you. So timing is a very important issue. There's so many things to think about. And now you've got to get authentic. So this is what we work on in my Teacher Train programs, on the live trainings and on my online trainings. And when I work directly with people, is getting you into your authentic sound. Teacher voices, we talked about that before. Teacher voices are important for transitions. For example, arms overhead, swan dive forward, right leg back into a runner's lunge. That's a teacher voice. And sometimes it's a repetitive cadence, and you have to have that to keep the energy level up for a 60, 75, 90-minute class. But now we've got to break that pattern, and this is where the authentic sound comes in, or I call the conversation voice. Sometimes in the runner's lunge, when your right leg is back, that left hip wants to come forward. So you gotta pull that hip back and get those hips to square, and now lift the hamstrings to the ceiling. See what that's like in your hip flexor. See how that feels. And I say this to my teachers all the time. Not what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. All of a sudden, when you get authentic, the sound changes. The energy changes. People sometimes will even look over to you. And I talk about that again in this video that I did a few months back. When you can bring out your authentic sound, when you have the conversation voice to actually talk to your students in that tone, what a difference it's going to make. And now you bring in yourself forward. And this is where it gets tough. because it's very vulnerable to put yourself out there. Get that personality on the line, because there are people that may not like your personality and may not come to your class. And I've talked about this before too. I can line up 1,000 people down the street that won't come to my class because they don't like the way I teach. Hopefully I can line up a lot more people on the other side of the street that do like it. So you have to take the risk to be vulnerable, to allow your authentic self to shine, and nobody can ever copy you. And that's how you're going to be unique and authentic. So you may see a yoga teacher that you've liked before and you may want to copy that energy. You don't want to copy it word for word. You don't want to copy it verbatim. You can emulate. You can allow them to inspire you to find your own authentic sound. So let's sum it up. Yoga teaching, acting. Rehearse out loud as many times as you can so those words become automatic. Prepare before you go into that classroom. Take time to get yourself centered. What am I focusing on in that day? And 3, how can I find my conversation voice? What I call it the gem. What's the gem in each pose? It doesn't have to be the most important thing, but an important factor in every pose. And now you can communicate that to your class and break that teacher voice pattern. So, as an actor and a yoga teacher, and I'm not talking about that character actor, I'm talking about the personality actor. You've got to be able to be yourself, be confident who you are, come in and take charge, and you make all the difference. So that's our episode for today. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit the notification bell. You get notified when I post a new video, which is every morning on Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Hit the like button if you enjoy this video, and I'll see you next video. Bye, everyone.